Hi, my name is Nancy Kawai, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about my experiences in the dance scene. I have been a part of this dance scene for about 20 years, and I started off going to hip hop and R&B clubs, bars, things like that, and my love for dance has been a huge part of my life basically since I was a kid when I started doing folklorico and other types of dance. But I obviously loved going out to these clubs and dancing, but one thing that I couldn't stand is the fact that, every time I went out, it's like no matter how I dressed, whether I was covered, whether I was showing some skin, I was always treated like a piece of meat, just walking around a meat market, waiting, walking with all these animals around me. It's a horrible feeling as a woman. It's something that has been one of my biggest pet peeves in life, is having to deal with men like that. So once I discovered the salsa bachata dancing and realized that it's completely different. You get asked to dance, and the fact that once the song is over, you guys are done dancing, it's like, okay, thank you, have a good night, and that's it. And I immediately was sold when I realized that that's the way that this dancing is, because it's a place where I can feel safe, where I can go out and do what I love, do what I'm passionate about, which is dancing, and not have to deal with people, trying to just being very disrespectful, basically. So, aside from that, let's talk about a little, uh, let's see, negative experiences that I've had. Um, so, obviously, nowhere is going to be perfect. Is it? It's not going to be a place where, yes, I do love it because, it's great where I feel safe. But of course, there's always somebody that ruins it, right? Um, so, my experiences that I've had, and they're not very often, it's been rare, but I have had experiences where I'm dancing with a guy, and yes, there is that comment. Guess I'm too nice. I continue the dance and I finish the song, but I definitely, push push him away a little, keep my distance, and let him know that, I don't like what you're doing. Um, it's just, it's just a way to ruin like the good experience that we're having at that moment, being out and doing things that we love. Um, but aside from that, I mean, there's obviously a lot of great experiences that I've had, which is the reason I've stayed in the scene for so long, since I was very young. And I love seeing all the new projects that people are doing during the pandemic, not being able to go out as often. People recording dance videos and, posting them on their social media. And even like the people that do go out social dancing during the pandemic, being recorded while they're dancing, and then posting those videos. I love that. I love seeing that. I just love us, sharing the passion that we have for dance and how much we love it and how happy it makes us. For a lot of us, this is therapeutic. This is something that we need it, and the dance community was hit really.
Hi, my name is Giovanna. I have been in the dancing for about 5 years, off and on again, and there have been quite a few experiences that have colored my involvement and just participation in the dance community, over the past 5 years. Just thinking from the beginning, I was, and keeping to the positives. I was really lucky to have been able to take the Metrios from the Bachata Dance Academy's workshop, just the intro workshop where a lot of the initial rules on the dance floor are explained, of course the fundamentals and the dancing, but also kind of on the etiquette side. So I was definitely really glad to be able to have that as just a beginner, because I knew the dancing would be happening that night, and I was by myself, and I was meeting new friends, so I wanted, it was good to know what was okay, what's not. Over that time as well, a lot of the gentlemen from Bachata Dance Academy, as well as the gentleman from Paso de Oro, which is PDO, as well as Alejandro Rey, were very adamant about that, keeping that safe space in general, about what's okay, what's not. So, I've been lucky on that positive aspect to meet them. And of course, over the years, I've met a lot of other gentlemen that have been great, very welcoming, even walked me back to my table, and also, maintained the proper positioning of hands, which for me as a dancer was critical. And I loved it, because that made me want to keep going back and learning more and perfecting my skill. One negative that stuck with me from day one was I was on the dance floor, actually one of those first nights at that first bachata festival that I went to. I've gone to many more since then, and I remember this one dancer, male, kept doing certain turns, as well as making sure that he dipped me to the point where I knew where his hand was going was not okay. And then from the typical dance etiquette rules, it was just, I knew something was wrong. And I just remember finishing that dance, just trying to get it done, and watching out for that gentleman the whole night. I actually ran into Demetrio, and I thanked him for telling me what was okay, what's not. He even asked me, who is this person? I've also had that, with any of the gentlemen that I know and have as friends. And sure enough, that gentleman was blacklisted from his behavior, because I wasn't the only girl he was trying that on. So that was something that definitely stayed with me. It would have marked me more if I didn't have so many supportive friends that, right away were like, no, that's not okay, and that's not appropriate. And overall, walking us to our cars or whatnot, showing that chivalry is there. Ultimately, it would be nice if that is reiterated more, especially now that we're going into post-COVID times, hopefully soon, that'll be reiterated again, so that new dancers are encouraged and keep learning and growing and making sure that their experience is as wonderful as mine have been over the years, and theirs, of course. So thank you all for listening, and hopefully we can keep getting some of that good change happening.
Hi, my name's Imani, and I've been in the dance community for about 10 years. Today, I'm going to briefly give my feedback on dance etiquette and the dance scene. One thing that has happened that has impacted me positively is there's a very few people in the dance scene who, when they ask you to dance, they escort you to the dance floor by arm, and when the dance is done, they actually escort you all the way back. And something that has impacted me negatively is when I first started dancing, I had just had a baby, and I was a little heavier than I would like to be. And I'm African American, and I'm older than typically most of the people in the dance scene. I'm currently 43. So being African American and a heavier set, thick woman, I didn't get asked to dance a lot. In fact, a lot of times I'd actually initiate and ask people to dance, and they'd turn me down. And the people who did agree to dance seemed annoyed, like, ugh. But then once we started dancing and they actually saw that I was passionate, I had some skill and technique, and was actually enjoyable, then you could see their face light up. So what I took away from that is myself now as a more seasoned dancer. I try to make sure that any interaction I have with anyone that's in the dance scene, whether it be new or old, beginner or pro, that I give them my 100% attention. I'm smiling, I'm engaged in the dance, and I make them feel welcomed. I make them feel like the dance is the first and last dance of their life. Because that feeling that I have, that I know so many people have experienced for one reason or another, whether it's because they're short, they're tall, they're fat, they're really skinny, they don't look a certain way, they don't dress a certain way, that type of discrimination hurts, and it hurts deep down to the bone. And I just want to impact as many people positively in the dance scene, to try to erase that negative behavior and, encourage that to be built also throughout the entire dance scene.
In general, the reason I love going social dancing is that for the most part, I have a lot of really positive experiences. I've loved being able to dance and feel safe and taken care of and have fun and socialize. So I love going. One of the positive experiences that I had, it was actually a really big deal. I went to a normal social dance that I always go to, and it happened that a guy had shown up that normally doesn't come. Wasn't really part of the scene, and he was definitely being pretty inappropriate with several different girls. And I was talking with another woman on the side. We were just standing there talking about it. And the guy who was putting the event on, who puts the event on every week, overheard us, and he goes, "Hey, I overheard you guys talking. Who are you guys talking about?" And we showed him and told him. And he actually kicked the guy out and said, "You're not welcome to come back." And he told us, he said, "I want to know if this kind of stuff is happening. I want everyone to feel safe here. If people are being inappropriate, I want to know about it, and I don't want them here." And honestly, it was a big deal. Like, not only did he overhear us, he made it an effort to make sure we all felt really, really safe. And he said, "Hey, you come get me. Like, if anyone's doing stuff like this, like, you come get me. I want to know, because if I don't know, I can't do anything about it. But if I do know, I want to do something about it." And I don't know that all of the people that run events would do that. I wish they would, because it really felt amazing. It felt really safe. Okay, a negative experience. Unfortunately, these happen. There is definitely a difference when you're dancing with someone and they accidentally, bump into a spot that they didn't mean to, or, that happens. And then there's those that you're dancing with and that they're being inappropriate. There's a difference. We know. We know when we're dancing when it's being inappropriate. And I was actually at a congress and was dancing with this man, and he grabbed me very inappropriately, and I immediately just pushed him and said, "Don't ever do that to a woman or anyone ever again." And I walked off. I think the song had just started. When I first started dancing, when I first joined the scene and I didn't know anything about the dance scene, I didn't know I could do that kind of stuff. I've learned through the years that I don't have to stay dancing with anyone that I don't feel comfortable with, and I can walk off anytime I want to. I wish that was more normalized. I definitely have watched other women dancing with men, and you can see they're uncomfortable. You can see they are trying their hardest to hold their boundaries, using their arms to kind of keep some distance, and the guys are just being clueless. Well, I don't think they're clueless. Which is all part of the sexual assault piece, right? They they just don't care. They just keep doing what they're doing. And I wish more women could and would just walk away, like let the guy, have to sit there and walk off the dance floor because women aren't going to dance with them. So that's what I would love to see happen more. I've gotten stronger in that I feel like if a guy is not reading my cues and he's not respecting me and while we're dancing, then I just end the dance and walk away. And I think that kind of feeds into all of the stuff that we deal with as women just in general. Like, I think we're taught to make sure everyone feels comfortable. We don't want to make a scene. We don't want to make anyone feel bad. And it's like, no, if someone is being inappropriate with me, I'm going to make a scene, and it's okay to make a scene. And, really it's the guy that ends up, well, in this case, the lead ends up having to sit in that. So I wish more of that would happen. Another thing that I think that could promote better dance etiquette, when I was at a Congress, the couple that was teaching the dance workshop, they spent the first about 5 to 10 minutes just talking about dance etiquette of, hey, if a woman's kind of pushing back, that's her cue of she wants some space, and be aware of that and be mindful of that. And they went through for like 10 minutes just talking through just basic dance etiquette and things that they had observed at, socials and congresses, and that was inappropriate, and that they were like, please don't do this behavior. And what was really cool was watching all the women in the room just like, thank you. It was so great to like feel like, please, let's get this like out there more. So I think if we could somehow get, there's always a dance class before most socials. If those instructors could spend, 5 to 10 minutes, even 5 minutes, just going over some basic dance etiquette before doing the lesson, I think that could be helpful. I think too, just having the event planners, the ones that get to determine who comes to the events, I think they have a lot of power. And if they started kind of promoting or saying like, hey, we want this to be a safe environment, and like anyone who, is feeling like stuff is happening inappropriately, they can come and talk to the event coordinator. And like, I think it's okay to have kind of a list of people that aren't respecting others, not being able to come to the event, or talking to them, or creating a space where like, hey, we're not just going to turn a blind eye to this. We're actually going to look at this and address it. I think that could help. I would love to see some of those things take place in our dance scene. I think it would make it a safer environment for everyone.
We'll start with a positive experience related to dance etiquette that I clearly remember at Stevens Steakhouse when a gentleman that I had never met or danced with asked me to dance. And he asked me right there, he said, "Are you comfortable with close contact during the dance?" What a pleasant surprise. I immediately felt not only safe, but a sense of freedom and respect. The dance was amazing. He was a great lead, and it was close, and there was good continuity with the type of dance. It was a sensual bachata. I didn't feel uncomfortable. I didn't feel anything but ecstasy. It was fantastic. As far as a negative experience, I would say in fact, the most negative experience I ever had was at a zouk chata when it was with someone I knew, or more like knew of because he was a friend of friends, and I saw him and had danced with him many times in the recent years. Anyway, he dipped me down and literally bit my nipple. I was in total shock. Once I, came up. It was the end of the song, Got My Bearings, and he literally walked away. No apologies, nothing. Now, as a woman, I totally accept that it's my responsibility to respond, react, and deal with the situation. I surprisingly didn't. I was so taken back. Unlike my, I think, normal outspoken nature, and anybody else would have said, "Oh my God, did you beat him up?" I didn't. I didn't look for him. I didn't confront him or anything. I got my stuff and I left. I felt violated, and of course, you wonder, oh my God, what impression did I ever give that something like that was okay? I've seen him many times on the dance floor, never asked me to dance, doesn't even look at me, no hello, nothing, and it's just awkward. I wish that I would have responded. I wish I would have said something. Just called him on and said, "Hey, I'm not comfortable with that. Don't know what impression you got from me, but that's not an okay." That's the worst. As far as what I'd like to see, as far as dance etiquette in the dance scene, I think it all comes down to communication and comfortability, but good communication leads to comfortability. I remember listening to a Dan Savage podcast years ago, and he talked about how the gay community just tells you what they want by simply asking, "What are you into?" And he mocked the heterosexual community and saying that you guys don't do that. You just think you know it and you go into it and you don't really respond. You wonder, does this feel good? Does it not? And nobody says anything. Well, I think it should be something similar in the dance community. You know, as women, when you're uncomfortable, you don't want people to be part of, you think you're stating your
As a dancer that has been social dancing for the past 2/3 years, I can recall being in a social one day, and it was at a congress. I was having so much fun. It was a great time, and I started dancing with this lead, and he was being so rough with my body. He was doing all these body rolls and crazy moves that I obviously couldn't do because I was not as advanced as him. And it was so uncomfortable because my body tensed up at some point. So every time he would attempt to do something, my body just would not do it. I think these are the times where leads especially need to go ahead and be reminded that you're taking care of someone's body. Since I was very young, I've been very stubborn. So going ahead and letting a man, or a lead, usually is a man, take over my body and control it, and to let him do what he pleases with my body was a little bit hard when I began social dancing, because I like to be in control. I like to know that I'm the one taking care of myself. And then when we're dancing, as a follow, I'm giving you that. It's like a gift. Like, I'm gifting you my body for movement and for a connection that could be so beautiful and a moment that could be so wonderful. But when you go ahead and decide that this is about you and take over my body in whatever way you feel like it, and you don't see what my boundaries are, or you don't take care of my body, you don't take advantage of figuring not advantage, you don't take the time to figure out what level I'm at. Sometimes you just need to do a regular basic with someone because they might not be at a higher level, or they might not be comfortable with that. So figuring out people's boundaries and respecting someone's body is huge. I think leads get a little excited at times, and they just want to do all these body rolls and movements and heads, and it could be so beautiful. But if you don't listen to someone else's body, if you don't sit there and really, really take care of that person, it can end up really bad. I remember having to step out of the social and just take myself out because I felt violated. Like my body felt like it had been touched in ways that I did not want to be touched. I did not want to move. And I don't think I'll ever forget that, because it was such a terrifying moment for me. And it's crazy because that was just quote unquote dance, but I was gifted my body to someone and they didn't take care of it. They didn't listen to it, and they didn't go ahead and they weren't nice to it. So as leads, I think you guys, as leads, you need to respect someone's body. You need to take care of someone's body, and know that, or keep in mind that these type of harsh movements can trigger someone, can bring up trauma, because there is many, many women, including myself, that have been that their bodies have been taken advantage in some type of other way. So when we're coming into the dance world and we are gifting our bodies to these leads, and then we're treated in this way, that brings up traumas, that brings up triggers, and then you just ruin someone's night for someone. And it's so hard to get that out of your head, because then you're nervous and you're scared to go ahead and gift your body or allow someone else to mobilize you and to move you and to dance with you. So yeah, I think we need to remember, and leads need to remember, including myself, because I do lead sometimes, that someone else's body is a gift, and we need to respect the boundaries, and we need to respect their body, and make sure you are reading their body as well. Thank you.